Christine's here today. She's always got a good topic. And today's topic is if you do choose the mediation process, how to make it more effective and efficient. So, Christine, give us your words of wisdom.
This is going to be short, sweet, and to the point, but it's important. So, I've done so many different mediations, and, I have some that go longer than expected and some that go shorter than expected. But over the course of time, as I was looking at them, I feel like there's some tips and some advice that I can share with people that are starting the process.
Great.
And so I wrote 4 things down. The first is come to mediation with your stipulations. So if you were to go through litigation and you were to go to a trial, let's say for divorce, mm-hmm. the judge would ask first thing, they would say, do you have any stipulations? Are there any issues that you've already agreed upon? So, maybe you guys, the parties have decided we're going to sell the house. Okay. So that's an issue that we can kind of put over here, park it, and say, okay, that's off the table for now, because it's not something that we have to focus on. And by doing that, it allows us to kind of use our time wisely. So that's one of the things that I'll ask is, do we have any stipulations? Okay, but if you can come to the first meeting with those, that helps save time. The next thing is to deal with those outstanding items that are still on the table. So what I tell people to do, which I think is really helpful, is to prioritize those outstanding issues. So maybe you have to deal with issues like bank accounts or retirement accounts, or maybe expensive pieces of art in the home.
Do you bring up those issues because we might not know them all?
I do try to ask a lot of probing questions so that I can kind of what we call peel the onion and, peel the layers of the case back so that we really know what is going on, and there are issues sometimes that have been clouded or kind of hidden. And as I ask questions, they sort of emerge to the surface.
So quick question. If people are probably coming to mediation thinking this is going to be a quicker process and we've got this, and I'm going to guess that they realize it's not so quick. It's certainly quicker than going the other route, but I think, this is a good learning for people to hear that.
Yeah, I do tell people it is not, just because mediation is more cost effective and more, timely, it doesn't mean it's easier. It's still hard, right? We're still dividing up assets and liabilities. We're still dealing with, starting 2 new chapters that were once a part of one. So it is hard. Although I really try to give my clients that space during the process to just kind of understand that and acknowledge it, because, there have been a lot of tough moments, where we're sitting there talking about one of those outstanding issues. And, think about a pet, for example, right? You can't cut a dog or a cat in half, or the kids can't cut them in half. And people are scared. They don't know what the future holds. They don't know what their new chapter looks like. And, some people, they might want a pet, but they might realize that where they're living or where they're going to be living, you can't have a pet there. So things that we talk about, but I say make a list and prioritize them so that you can come to the meeting more organized. And it gives us at least a better starting point.
How prioritize them how?
So basically sit and think about all the things that you want. Like you might say to yourself, I want the cats, or I want the dogs. I want to keep my car. I want 75% of my retirement plan. I'm only willing to give up 25%. But then you go and you list all the things you want, and then you prioritize them by importance. What are you most willing not to give up? So there's a couple ways you could do it. You could enumerate them. with number one being like, I'm not walking out of this room until I have number one. Might be, you know, you might have 10 things listed, but you list the things that are of most importance. Another way to organize them is to maybe do columns, and you can put absolutely non-negotiable, another column for negotiable, and then there's a maybe column. Like, I'm not really sure.
That makes a lot of sense. That would make it, you realize looking at the columns, I have to be a little more adaptable. Okay.
Right. And I think when you kind of visualize it, like enumerating it or making columns, I think people do see the light and they're like, oh, you know what? It might be unreasonable or unreasonable. And that's actually one of the things I put in here is, be reasonable. You're not going to walk away with everything. Mediation, what we try to do is allow couples to divide assets and liabilities, but in a way that they can start their new chapter on as equal footing as possible. So if you're someone that's sitting here watching this and you just want to punish the other person and take them for all they have, you can stop listening right now, call the litigators, and maybe in 2 or 3 years you'll be divorced. And you will have lost a lot of your savings. But some people have to do that,
Right.
Unfortunately. The other thing is, I put in here the rearview mirror. So someone very smart and close to me told me this when I was going through my process. And she said, there's certain things you got to leave in the rearview mirror. And I'm like, I don't know. It just stuck with me. It was very powerful. And I think when you come to the table for mediation, 2 of the best things you can do is leave your ego at the door and leave your emotions at the door. And kind of look at this as like a business process. It will help make the process more efficient and effective. Much easier said than done.
Right. But there's something else that you said that I thought was really, really valuable for all of us. And that was, there are no winners in mediation, right?
Yeah.
But it's really about getting to that agreement in a much easier way.
Yeah, a lot of people, I guess maybe that's the way we're wired. I'm not sure. But, I love winning just as much as everyone else does. But the truth is that when you're going through a divorce, there really is no win-win. I know mediation, I've gone to how many seminars on mediation and they're like, oh yeah, win-win. It's really not. It is a lose-lose. But what I tell my clients is, look, let's get to an agreement that you can live with. You can say, I can live with this. I maybe did not get 100% of what I wanted, but I got what I need. And I can live with it. You can walk away from a mediation like that, you'll be okay.
Very helpful.
To me, that's a win.
Right. If you can start your new chapter feeling like you actually can, it was a fair agreement.
The last thing I wrote down, and this is really, really important because I've seen it. Say what you mean and mean what you say. There are people that will come in and they'll be like, oh, we want this to be amicable and, it's going to be easy. And I'm like, don't say that. I say it's the kiss of death, but I joke around with them.
That's
I try to
sure we all need it in that situation.
But there have been people that when we actually sat down and started discussing issues that, would say, yeah, I want the kids full time. But they knew deep down that they didn't really mean that. Because for whatever reason, maybe work schedule or, distance, that they couldn't handle that. So it is really important that when you are listing your issues, really make sure you mean that you want 75% of your retirement account. There are some people that'll come in and say that they're going to waive alimony when it's truly an alimony case. And as a third party neutral, I have to stay neutral, and I can't say anything. So, do your homework. If you really are saying you don't want alimony, once we sign that agreement, for the most part, it's pretty much locked up and done. and you can't come back and change your mind. So that's a big one.
That is a big one. So these are good tips for us, and it helps us decide, wow, the mediation process is definitely a money saver, time saver. There's a lot of good things about it, but also know that it's there's no easy way to get through this, but you make it a lot smoother.
Thanks. I try.
Yep. Any of you want to talk to Christine, have questions about mediation, give us a call at 1-800-310-9085.